say shit, but this ain't about the money and it ain't about the fame. I got lightning in a bottle, I think I just found my perfect sound. Can you see the fire in my eyes? Bitch, it's burning now. Lightning in a bottle, I think I just found my perfect sound. Can you see the fire in my eyes? Bitch, it's burning now.
Yo, how you living? How you feeling? How you doing? This is First Choice Fantasy, and we are back with our betting episodes that we have weekly. To my left, we have Cameron Cutlass. Say what's up, Cam.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Missing the draft today, but it's all good. We're going with the flow.
Going with the flow. On the right side, we got Xavier. So what's up?
How you doing?
This Xavier's first episode is going to be with us usually for the betting episodes. Without further ado, we're going to have our structure for the episode be starting off with the 1 o'clock games. Then we're going to dive into our 1 o'clock parlays for each individual person. 4 o'clock games, 4 o'clock parlay, primetime game, primetime parlay. So, hop into the 1 o'clock games. All right, first game up at 1 o'clock for the NFL Week 1 season is going to be the Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions. The Lions have the line of -3, and they are favorites with a -152 money line. So, what are you looking at, Cam?
For betting purposes, this is a game I'm staying away from. They're two relatively poor teams, in the NFC North, divisional rivals, obviously, and I think it's just a hard pick. Week 1, they're both going to struggle, I believe. But if I had to go somewhere, I'd say Bears +3 because the better defense.
Yeah, that's valid. It's valid. I mean, my personal take on that, I'm going to differ on that. Since Detroit has hired Matt Patricia to be their head coach since 2018, they've had 4 games where they're the home favorites, and in those 4 games, they only won once. It's obviously a very small sample size, but I'm going to take that as it is. The defense is pretty piss poor. Mitch Trubisky is also piss poor in his own right, but I believe that defense is better than the Lions' defense, and I think the offense will battle, and I think they're gonna cancel each other out, and I think the defense is gonna reign supreme there. X, what do you take on that?
This was a hard pick, but personally I'm going with the Bears spread here, just for the betting purposes' sake. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Bears come out on top in this one.
Fair. All right, moving on to the next one. Got any words?
It comes down to the offensive battle. Lions are winning. Matthew Stafford's better quarterback than Trubisky.
Fair. All right. Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. The spread is -7.5 for the Ravens, -370 money line, and the over/under is 48.5. So, Cam, what do you like in here?
I would take the Ravens -370 just because they're definitely going to win, I think. I was considering the Browns +7.5 because I think it's going to be a closer game, but a little bit too risky there. My favorite bet in this game, though, is the over at 48.5.
I'm sticking more with the money line there for the Ravens. I think it's a much safer bet to play in this matchup. The Browns at the +7.5 isn't terrible either, but I think the Ravens still come out on top this one, Week 1. I like that money line a lot better.
Last year they did face each other twice, obviously, as division rivals, and they split the series. The Ravens lost the first game at home by more than 8 points, and the Browns lost the second game at home by more than 8 points as well. I'm going with the Ravens money line in that situation. Next game, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings, -2.5 for the Vikings and -136 on the money line. For my personal opinion, I believe I'm going to take the Minnesota -2.5. Obviously, losing Everson Griffin is kind of questionable. This is probably one of the games that I'm going to stick off on from a parlay perspective. But if I were to take a bet here, it would be the Vikings -2.5 because I just believe they're going to run the ball well, and the Packers' run defense is pretty piss poor as well. Aaron Rodgers is getting old. He's getting up there. I don't know if he still has it in him. If he does, he'll show me Week 1. But, yeah, I'm just going to go with the Vikings -2.5.
I like that Vikings -2.5 as well. That's what I'm going with.
I disagree with both of you guys. I think the Packers are going to come out on top, and I'm taking the money line at +116. I think the spread's a little bit pointless there, and the money line gives you better odds.
It's fair. If you disagree, you may as well disagree completely. So, next 1 o'clock game, we got the Indianapolis Colts and at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are favored to lose by 7.5 points, +310 odds. So, my personal opinion on this game is kind of up in the air. it's just scary to me. I like the coaching for the Colts and whatnot. The Jags have traded away every single talented player on their team practically, cut them as well.
That's a fact.
The defense is pretty bad in my eyes. The Colts defense is pretty stellar. Phillip Rivers' first game with the Colts, I think he should succeed decently. T.Y. Hilton should be scoring a lot of fantasy points as well for those who are interested.
Indeed.
I just think the Colts, I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I do see the Colts just manhandling the Jaguars week 1.
I don't see this game being close at all.
Yeah.
I think Colts are going to really walk all over the Jags here. Not saying it's going to be a super high-scoring game also for the Colts, but I don't see the Jaguars putting up much of a fight here. I'd say the Colts spread is very safe to go with.
I can also see the Colts just tweaking and Phillip Rivers throwing 4 interceptions week 1, but I mean, that's why I'm kind of
throwing interceptions too.
Hey, maybe the 4th-string cornerback that'll be on a regular team.
I don't think Frank Reich's game script is going to allow that this year. They're leaning towards a run offense with Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor now. I love the Colts spread this week at -7.5. I also love the under for 45.5. I think they're going to shut the Jaguars out, basically about 13, 17 points maybe.
I don't know. I'm scared about Phillip Rivers. He's very inconsistent at times and just scared. But I do believe in Frank Reich to lead the ship, and lead him to a big W against the Jags if I had to pick. Now, the next game, we have Las Vegas Raiders at the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are not favored to win. The Raiders are favored to win by 3 points, and they're -174. For my sake, I would take the Raiders money line at -174 because this Panthers offense is going to be pretty freaking wild. What's up?
So I agree with the money line there.
You got any other comments on it?
I just don't think the Panthers offense will keep up with the Raiders offense. I think the Raiders offense will not dominate, but the Raiders offense is better than the Panthers defense.
By a whole lot.
I don't think it's going to be super high scoring, but it could be close as well. But I still think the Raiders come out here on top. So I would go with the Raiders money line.
I think the only place where the issue lies here is the Panthers defense. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Relatively high-scoring. I like the over a lot, 47.5. I would take the Raiders -3. Not much else to say on that game. I think it's going to be a good game, though.
It's going to be interesting. I like the Raiders coming up and the Panthers offense as well. I think it's going to be relatively high-scoring. Could be one of the highest-scoring games this week, possibly. Now, the next game for 1 o'clock, we have Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots. The Patriots are favored to win by 6.5, the -295 money line. Cam, you can kick us off here.
It's another game. It's a hard one. If you can, try and stay away from it probably, but might want to lean the Dolphins just because, how long has it been since Cam Newton stepped onto a football field? He's going to be a bit rusty. He's already been the named starter, obviously, because they have Jarrett Stidham back there behind him, so that was a given. Dolphins, they just had Fitzpatrick back there cooking last year. He let him off to a real number of wins towards the end of the season, beating some solid teams, including the Patriots. So if I had to go somewhere, I'd go Dolphins +6.5.
I would as well, yeah. The only thing that would concern me is if Devontae Parker does miss out, because he's questionable, I believe, for Week 1 game. Stephon Gilmore would probably shadow Preston Williams. Taking him out, the only other valid receiving target, I guess you could say, would be Mike Gesicki. And I don't know who they have behind those two wide receivers. Albert Wilson opted out. Shaquem Grant, I guess, would be the next man up. I don't know if he's going to do all that, but if Devontae Parker plays, I would still go with Dolphins +6.5.
Agreed.
All right, moving on to the next 1 o'clock game. We have the New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are favored by 6.5 points, -270 money line. Actually, you can kick us off here.
I think that Bills -6.5 spread is beautiful, and I would take that every day this week.
Yeah, the Jets are a piss poor team.
This game should not be close.
It shouldn't be. I think the Bills' defense is going to take control, and Josh Allen's rushing ability and just overall talent, I think, is going to take over the Jets' defense. Cam, what do you got to say about him?
I think the Bills -6.5 is one of the best bets you have here this week. Something else I didn't really notice until now: the over/under 39.5. 30-10 game. I think that's pretty damn plausible. So, I would go the over there.
My concern with that lies with the Jets' offense and
The ability to put up points against the
Well,
Bills
10
defense.
points. 10 points is reasonable though, but I don't know
It
if
is
I can
reasonable.
see that combination. It's possible though.
No, yeah, I was just looking at the possibility. I didn't look
It's
at
the
it.
lowest over-under out
Yeah.
of all the games this
It
week.
is the lowest over/under.
Reasonably. We have the Eagles and the Washington football team next. Washington is home. The Eagles are favored by -5.5, and the money line for them is -240. My pick would be the Eagles money line. I'm kind of worried about the Eagles as a team just going into Washington week 1. It's just going to be scary as far as an injury perspective. Obviously, I mean, I seen a tweet earlier that said Lane Johnson's back and he's fully padded and he's practicing. Same with Miles Sanders. Even Jalen Reagor might show up. The Eagles are just very erratic in my eyes, and I could see Washington coming out week 1 and just clicking on all cylinders offensively because our defense isn't the best, obviously. And that defensive line they have is going to stop Miles Sanders, I believe, pretty effectively.
Yeah, he probably won't garner up a lot of rushing yards this week. I think he's going to be pretty effective out of the backfield catching the football, though.
Possible.
As I've touched on in the past, if you want to go watch our past videos, I'm very nervous about the Eagles this year. That offensive line's pretty hurt. It's banged up. Lane Johnson, he's been practicing according to Mr. Roach here, but not according to Mr. Roach, but
According to
last I heard he was hurt, so that was making me real nervous going into today. But as of right now, I would stick with their money line. It would be brutal to see them go down to Washington football team week 1. That 5.5, that was a little risky, and as it's continued to drop, line makers think so too.
Team's not even a real team.
Washington football team.
But yeah, I think the Eagles -240 is the way to go there.
That's why I would stick with the -240 money line.
Sweet. All right, diving into the last 1 o'clock game, we have the Seahawks at the Falcons. The Seahawks are favored by -1.5 points. Money line is at -136 for the Seahawks. I would lean the Seahawks spread. This is another pick'em game for me where I'm not sure what's going to happen. I could see the Seahawks offense doing well, the defense holding the Falcons in check, or I could see the Falcons offense just blowing up. And it's probably one of the picks I would keep out of a parlay because it's a little risky for me.
I agree with you on that. It could really go either way, but I'm leaning towards the Seahawks here, and I like that spread. So that's what I'm going to have to go with.
Although it is one of the harder games, I mean, which one isn't? I'm a little bit more confident in my pick here. I like the Falcons at +1.5. I like the Falcons bouncing back. They're pretty hard to beat at home. And the Seahawks last year won a ton of close games. I think their luck's going to change a little bit there. I like the Falcons starting off with a good win at home.
It's really not a bad pick either. Either one of these spreads isn't a bad pick, which is kind of tricky with this game itself. Because it really could either go either way. I think a lot of points are going to be put up.
Really good, really good. All right, since we're done the 1 o'clock games, we're going to say our 1 o'clock parlays personally. The comfortable parlay for me, per se, is going to be the Chicago Bears money line +128, Baltimore money line -370, Buffalo Bills spread at -6.5, the Eagles -240 money line, the Colts -390 money line, and the Las Vegas and Carolina over 47.5 points at -115. And the a $10 bet for that parlay would get you $167 at the current lines and odds. Cam, let's hear yours.
I didn't really put together a safe bet for this one. I stayed away from the Bears and Lions, but I put together a parlay for the rest of the 1 o'clock games. So in total, 18 parlay. I stuck with 3 money lines: the Packers at +130, the Eagles at -240, and the Ravens at -370. And then I went with 5 spreads. The Bills -6.5, which I stated I think that's the best bet this week. Steelers -5.5. Actually, I goofed. The Steelers play on Monday. So oof. But Raiders -3, Colts -7.5, and then the Falcons +1.5.
All right, next is yours.
Well, for my 9 o'clock, I went with 1 o'clock. I went with a 9-team parlay of every game, taking the Bears spread at +3. I think one of the safest bets in this parlay is the Ravens money line here at -370. Like the Vikings spread at -2.5. Colts spread at -7.5 I think is also one of the best ones here. The Raiders money line at 174. Dolphins spread at plus 6.5. Bills spread at minus 6.5. Another really safe bet. Eagles money line at minus 240, and then the Seahawks spread at minus 1.5. And then $10 wager will get you 1.2K.
Big payout.
And back to my parlay. It wasn't the Steelers, it was the Dolphins at plus 6.5, which kept the odds the same, plus 9,863 odds. A $10 bet's going to net you $986.
Another big payout.
Not too bad.
Another one.
But it is a long shot, obviously.
I'm very conservative in my betting, evidently. All right, moving forward, we're going to go into the Sunday games from 4 to 4:25 games. First game, we're going to kick it off with the 4 o'clock games. We have Los Angeles Chargers at Cincinnati Bengals. The Chargers are favored by 3.5 points, and the money line is at minus 180. Me and Xavier agree here with the Bengals money line. It's pretty rich. It is pretty rich. Pretty pick-em wise. I mean, obviously, I talked about how I thought Tyrod Taylor was going to go off this week. It's definitely still possible. I just think the odds of plus 154 for the Bengals, Joe Burrow, that offense coming out and just lighting up the Chargers defense. Just not saying the Chargers defense is piss poor or anything, but it's definitely not a top 5 defense in the league in my eyes. And I think the Bengals
Especially
offense.
with James being out now.
Exactly.
It's a big hit to that defense, especially the secondary. I think that's where the Bengals are going to feast.
Yeah, I agree. Where do you stand in that game?
I like the Chargers at minus 3.5. I think their defense is still going to be pretty stout. They still got Casey Hayward and Desmond King back there covering the wide receivers. They have a very solid defensive line, Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram at the ends. I think they're going to give Joe Burrow hell this week. It wouldn't be surprising if Joe Burrow came out and lit him up, but I just don't see it. I'm a little bit more confident in Tyrod Taylor, giving a little bit more stability there. I would say a 21-17 would be a solid prediction for that game. Keeping the 3.5.
Under 43.5 as well right there.
Yes.
The only contradiction I had to him saying about the Chargers' stout defensive line is the fact that Joe Burrow's been practicing with a terrible offensive line as is, so he's kind of getting used to, getting pressured regularly. So, moving forward, we have the second game of 4 o'clock games with the Arizona Cardinals at the 49ers. The 49ers are 7-point favorites, minus 300 on the money line. Actually, you can kick us off here if you want.
I think the safest play here would be that 49ers money line. Then again, that plus 7 spread for the Cardinals is pretty enticing too. I think they could keep this game close. It's kind of interesting to see how this new kind of Cardinals offense will work. But my personal take here on the money line would be the 49ers money line would be the safest play.
I took the Cardinals spread of plus 7. Last year, they played the 49ers, lost by 3 points, and then lost by 10 points in the second matchup. I think the offense could come out and shock everybody with D-Hop, with the D-Hop addition, and just getting more comfortable with all the different players on their team. Kyler Murray's second year with the new head coach and whatnot. It's definitely possible. It's probably another one of those games that I might stay away from a parlay perspective, but that's all I got for the Cardinals 49ers. Cam, what's your opinion?
I like the Cardinals plus 7 here. They're going to have a pretty potent offense. They've got one of the best wide receiver sets in the league. Kenyon Drake coming out. Hopefully not performing like the past and with Miami. But I think he's going to be pretty solid. It's going to be a nice run offense with Kyler Murray and Kenyon Drake there. 49ers, though, they got a very stout defense.
My man likes the word stout.
Defensive line.
Not stout like the Chargers either. Very
stout.
10 times stouter.
10 times the stout.
They got the other brother over there. The other
brother. The other Bosa brother.
The other Bosa brother over there. So it's going to be tough for him. But a stat that I pulled from Joe Osborne, shout out him on Twitter. Super Bowl leads are week 1. They're 4-16 against the spread since 2000. I could see that trend continuing here. 49ers, they're going to come out a little bit confident, I would say, against the Cardinals, but either way.
That stat kind of skewed me, to be honest. When you brought that up, I felt more confident in the Cardinals plus 7. Guess we can move forward with the last game of the 4 o'clock set. We have Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. Saints are 3.5 point favorites, minus 188 on the money line. I'm personally going with the New Orleans minus 3.5 spread. I don't know. Cam has some pretty good defense, pretty good stats and facts, I guess you could say, to make the Buccaneers look like they should win or just cover the spread, period. But I think Drew Brees and that offense going to come out and light up that Buccaneers secondary. Rushing game might not be all that successful, but I believe in the Saints and I believe in Drew Brees.
Now, I don't have the stats. These are more stats via Joe Osborne. Shout out him again. Saints, 0-6 against the spread in weeks 1 and 2 since 2017. That's pretty brutal. And last year was the Bucs, same team with Jameis Winston over their quarterback. So I'm going to take the Bucs here, plus 3.5. Saints usually come out slow, and I could definitely see it staying the same.
Thing I see, the Mike Evans injury, obviously the hammy injury and whatnot, that might just keep him completely out of the game if he does sit. But even if he doesn't sit, he might still just be out there as a decoy. But if he does sit, in the case he does sit, we're going to have Marshawn Lattimore most likely covering Chris Godwin. I don't know. I'm not a football guru and all that. I don't know personnels and whatnot, but I would assume Chris Godwin would play less in the slot because who would you even have put outside? You would have Justin Watson. I don't know if they'd feel too comfortable starting him on the outside.
Put Gronk outside.
I don't know if that would be
I would probably say Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, he missed a lot of camp, and they were talking about cutting him.
He missed a lot of camp?
Yeah, he was injured for most of it, yeah. But if they do play Chris Godwin on the outside and Marshawn Lattimore lines up with him, he's practically faded out of the game. I mean, you've seen last year Mike Evans got a dud. He put up a dud in fantasy. 0 catches, 0 points, 0 everything against Marshawn Lattimore, the first matchup. And even the second matchup, when he played up against P.J. Williams with Marshawn Lattimore out, Mike Evans pretty stank up the field. But, X, what do you got to say about this matchup?
I think it's going to be a shootout. And I'm liking that Buccaneers plus 3.5 on the spread there. I don't know.
Not much else to say?
Not really much else to say. I'm thinking the Buccaneers come out on top in this one.
Valid. All right. Well, my parlay was literally every single pick that I made, so you can go back and check that out. I'm assuming it's the same for you guys as well? Your 4 o'clock parlays?
Indeed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Sweet. All right.
Packers, Bucs, Cardinals.
All right. We can jump into this this primetime picks, I guess you could say, right here at the end. The Ed segment, the primetime picks. All right. First game, obviously, Thursday night game. It's the Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites with minus 430 money line. I'm going with the Kansas City spread. I believe in the defending Super Bowl champions. The offense is pretty beautiful still. Added CEH, and I think it's going to be utilized pretty well first week. Texans offense is it's different. Obviously, there's no D-Hop. Brandon Cooks is banged up. Will Fuller is a walking injury, so Lord knows how that's going to work out. Yeah, that's all I really got to say.
I thought that spread was a little spooky at first, so I'm sticking with the Chiefs' money line here as more of a safer pick.
Valid.
I think the Texans could keep it close. I mean, they did beat them last year, but I mean was a completely different team than this year. But the Chiefs did nothing but improve their offense, I believe, from last year to this year. I think they will still come out on top. That money line is just a little more safer, in my opinion.
Fair.
Yeah, I would agree. I would take the Chiefs at minus 9.5, though. The money line's just a little bit too steep. Minus 430 is pretty rough. It's not adding a ton of value to anything you're trying to do. If you're trying to make a few bucks and feel very confident, then go right ahead. But for value purposes, I would take 9.5. The Chiefs, they tend to score points late in games. So even if it's looking like it's going to be a close game, don't be surprised if a touchdown comes within 3 minutes of this final score. So I like the minus 9.5.
I have a nice little stat that I pulled from TeamRankings.com. They have the Kansas City Chiefs have the second highest coverage percentage against the spread among home favorites since Patty Mahomes obviously started in Kansas City in 2018. 10-7-1, 58.8% win percentage. It's tied with New England for second most in the NFL, which I thought was pretty beautiful. So that is my little tidbit of information if you were interested. Now, moving forward, we can go to the Sunday night game. It is the Dallas Cowboys at the Rams. Cowboys are favored by 3 points and are minus 144 on the money line. X, you can kick us off here.
This is one of those games that you may want to stay away from. I don't know. It's a little tricky. I personally like the Cowboys here. I like that spread at -3. What do you guys think?
I would also take the Cowboys spread at -3, but it is a little bit tricky because you don't know what to expect from Dak all the time, and it wouldn't be a shocker for Dak to just come out and lay an egg and expect Zeke to produce all their points. So, but I don't expect that to happen. I like the Cowboys -3. Something significant though, they do average 10 fewer points on the road in 2019 than they did at home. So, something to keep in mind there.
It's noteworthy, and it also goes along with the fact that they got a new head coach. And I'm not sure if the playbook's different or whatnot, but they added CeeDee Lamb, which is also another positive. I guess you can look at it that way. But if Amari Cooper does, he is questionable for the game, by the way. If he does sit or if he just doesn't perform, the offense could look pretty bad, and they could not cover the spread possibly. But I'm definitely still going with the Dallas -3. As Xavier said, it was pretty uncomfortable, but had to make a pick, so I went with it. So the next game we have is the first game of Monday night. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers against the New York Giants. New York Giants are at home. Steelers are -5.5 favorites, -245 on the money line as well. Cam, you can start here.
Outside of the Bills at -6.5, the Steelers at -5.5 is my favorite bet of the week. I'm not nervous about the Steelers offense like my friend Mr. Roach is here. I think they're going to come out and perform pretty well. I think the Giants are it's probably the closest equivalent you can get to a preseason game, I guess. So
I'm very confident in my Steelers offense this year.
So I like the Steelers at 5.5. I think it's going to be fairly easy for them.
I think you could go spread or money line Steelers here. Steelers haven't lost a Monday night football game in 9 consecutive games. Steelers win this game easily. You could go money line or spread.
Steelers stand over here, but I went with the money line because I'm kind of wary of the Steelers.
I prefer the money line as well.
Ben Roethlisberger's arm. I mean, I'm one of those people. Occasionally, I pick and choose, obviously, but I'm one of the people you have to prove me wrong in order for me to actually believe you. Because I don't know if Ben's arm strength's still going to be there at the age of 36, something like that. Was he around there? I don't know if his arm strength's still there. I think the offense as a whole is going to need to mesh a little bit easier or mesh a little bit more before they actually hit their stride, if they do hit their stride. Just makes me a little scared. I don't know about the Giants offense either. I think they're going to struggle as well. So the under, in my eyes, is another good bet, but that's all I got to say about that game. So I suppose we can move forward with the final game of Week 1 in the NFL. It is the Tennessee Titans at the Denver Broncos. The Titans are 1.5-point favorites with -132 on the money line. I will kick it off, I suppose. I took the Tennessee Titans at -1.5 on the spread. My reasoning for this, honestly, the Titans' defense is pretty well. We've seen the Titans' offense also succeed going into the playoffs. They took out the fucking Patriots, if that counts. The defense also added Jadeveon Clowney this past week, which is another notable signing. I think they can stop the Broncos' run defense, and run offense, and I think their defense just in general is pretty solid. Derrick Henry's going to run some clock out. I don't see it being a high-scoring game. Fuck do I know, though? Cam, what do you got to say about this game?
X, do me a favor, take this.
Take it.
I think the Titans spread here is one of the more safer bets here on the primetime parlays, especially now here. Broncos losing Von Miller for the season. That's a big old dent to that defense. Derrick Henry's going to run the ball.
Really?
And I think that 1.5 is real safe. Real safe.
I agree.
This is a game I'm a little bit iffy on because I kind of like the Broncos here. They're at home. The Titans are coming off a high-performing year. Tannehill coming off a very abnormal year for himself.
Did he sign a new contract too?
He was in Miami. Give him some credit. Give him some credit.
I suppose, but he still had his opportunities there. I mean, that was as of right now, that was an anomaly. Are we going to see
this
it
is
in
true.
the future? We'll see. But then again, Drew Lock's a little risky rookie. I'm a second-year quarterback going in there, but he has the weapons around him this year, and I don't know. I like the Broncos there at +1.5. I think they're going to come out with the upset at home.
This is valid. All right, and for my primetime parlay of the Chiefs covering the 9.5-point spread, the Cowboys covering the -3 spread, Steelers with the money line -245, and the Titans spread of -1.5. A $10 wager is going to get you $90.52 on FanDuel at those odds. So, what do you guys? We should do one.
So just because I took the Broncos, it adds a little bit more value to the 14 parlay for primetime play. $10 will net you $129.37. Not too bad.
I went with the Chiefs money line, Cowboys covering the spread at -3, the Steelers money line, and then the Titans covering the spread at -1.5. I did a $20 wager on that one for a win of 109 on FanDuel.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. So that ends the week 1 betting episode from First Choice Fantasy. Cam, Ed, X. This is going to be weekly for you guys.
We're going to keep track of our wins and losses on
Tune in
this.
next week. The whiteboard will be, our records will be appearing on there. So
There will be.
tune
We'll have
in.
to see how we did.
Appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Cam, Ed, X, First Choice Fantasy. Deuces.